6 o'clock.
Start the meeting.
We're calling it the Cedar Creek Township meeting to order.
What? I'm just kidding. Chuck's back.
I think you gotta turn the air back on.
Maybe we do want to put the
Hey Heather, will you go over to the thermostat and just hit the down arrow a couple of times?
Okay, Lorraine.
Thank you. Don't be going crazy though. Some of us get cold.
Make a short meeting out of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Officer Linda, if you would please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, if my voice gives out, Heather's gonna run the show.
I think you already gave out. Dave, will you take roll call?
Sure. Trustee Wright,
Here.
Treasurer Jarvis,
Here.
Supervisor Ayers, Clerk Stamey, here. Trustee Beeman,
Here.
all present and accounted for.
You've had an opportunity to review the minutes from our June 13th regular board meeting and the June 22nd special board meeting. Does anyone have any changes to the minutes? I do.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
We
Okay,
have one addition.
one addition.
Okay.
There was just a small typo in the beginning, that the meeting was on Tuesday, June 14th instead of 13th. And also, board members present was 6. I don't know who the 6th person is.
We gotta go.
So,
We gotta go.
yeah, well, you know, that's fine. And then we did vote on page 3. We did vote on the motion regarding the home-based business and miscellaneous amendments. So the minutes need to reflect that there was a vote on that and the motion was defeated.
I think she corrected that, and
Okay.
there should be a new one on
Okay, because my copy doesn't have it, I just want to make sure.
it. Okay.
Okay.
The latest one did, so she did correct that.
Okay.
Are we approving the minutes or the agenda for this meeting?
I'm sorry. I
We
jumped
have it,
ahead.
we
I made a
do the
motion
same
to
thing
approve
I
the
do every
agenda.
time.
I'm approving
Well, I
the
wanted to add
minutes.
something to the current agenda. if I
Okay.
could. We talked about the Stratus contract, and we tabled it last meeting because they were not current. Well, they are current now, so I'd like to add it in this meeting for approval. That's old business.
Okay, so do you wanna make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition
I'll
of
make a motion to
Stratos?
approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Any concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, were you making a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, I am.
Second.
Any edits or concerns?
All in
I didn't
favor?
get that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, Linda.
No. Okay, motion carries.
Okay, the June 1st beginning general fund balance was $1,364,624.15. Revenues totaled $79,594.53. Expenditures totaled $105,780.65, leaving an ending balance of $1,338,438.03. Does anyone have any questions about the report?
I have none.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll place Heather's report on file. Thank you, Heather. Disbursement.
We had a few disbursements of size this month. We had our audit this month and got that paid for. We bought some exercise equipment, I believe with ARPA funds, is that correct? And we also, brought last year's pension up to date and paid, this year's forward, so. Other than that, just bills as usual.
Could we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve all regular bills for this month.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Then, Dave, if you could share this with Brian, please. Members of the Iris Board, I received a, letter from Consumers Energy, and Lorraine, where'd Lorraine go? Okay, she's hidden back there. I'll make sure you get a copy of this. It's, regarding solar energy, and the intent is to make sure that, townships and communities are solar ready. So, they provided us with a packet of Q&A and also the reps serving our township. So I wanted everyone on our board to be aware and to have that information. And, also Scott, I think I want you to be aware of this because you and I had a conversation about someone, and you may find this enlightening or
Okay.
helpful.
Great.
Okay.
Understood.
And that was just an FYI. Does anyone else have any correspondence or information they want to share? Okay. Then I would like, I think everyone here has met Scott Faulkner, who is the executive director. There it goes.
Executive Director of the Muskegon
River
Watershed.
Yes.
Scott, if you would please.
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor Ayers. And anyway, just a brief update for everybody and for the community about the Maple River project, which is a full 2 years in the making now, if you can believe that. A lot has happened since the last time I had a chance to come in and talk to everybody, both from a success perspective of finding funding that we really didn't think we had a chance of getting for years or more happened. And it is amazing what happens when money starts showing up, people they sit up a little straighter in their seats and start paying more attention to the project, and such is true in both Bridgeton Township and in Cedar Creek Township. And folks that might have been sitting on the sidelines before are a lot more interested in the project and its potential impacts. And so our principal watershed scientist, who I think you've all met, Marty Holtgren, and I are kind of hitting the streets, and this is the nice weather to do it in. We're not out there in January and February going through the river channel, but we've been trying to meet with as many stakeholders as possible, meaning people who are directly affected by this project, own property that abut it or are adjacent to it. We haven't made it through the whole list yet, but we're getting pretty close. And so far, we've walked through the channel. There's 2 entrances to Maple River and 1 exit. We've walked through the channel with almost all of the homeowners. We have some circling back to do, hate the phrase, but we have some more of that to do. And so far, we talk in terms of opportunities and risks. And between those 2 things, you get a real conversation with people. Some folks feel that there are risks that are in the unacceptable range. Most folks don't. Everyone sees the opportunity because if a new river is born, there is economic opportunity in that is undeniable. No one knows how to quantify that quite yet because it really hasn't happened in many places in the whole world. So, and this is not a small project. One of the things that Marty did is he took this to a world conference on the East Coast, and I put together this little handout. And I left like 50 of them in the back, Linda, so that there's more for people that aren't here tonight. And the picture on the back that shows the people at the table, these are people from all around the world that are Marty's peers. They're scientists that are watershed scientists. And they get together to talk about interesting things and how restoration is happening around the whole world. People from China, people from Southeast Asia, people from Canada, people from all over the place. Marty was asked to participate because of this project. So if you think, well, we're just Cedar Creek Township, this is just a small project. No, it isn't, because rivers are seldom brought back from the dead, really seldom. And if I've had the chance now to understand more about what I try to talk about. I've actually walked in the old channels. They're big. They're significant. It's not a creek, it was a real river. And when you see the old maps, like the one I think we dropped off around Christmas time last year, I couldn't sing, sorry about that. And
It's right
there it is. You can see on the orange section there that's blown up, how the two branches there look about exactly the same size. That's because they were. The Muskegon had two very distinct branches that were almost identical in size, that were both used for floating logs. And one of the pieces of evidence that we found during our trip down Terry Hackenberg's property was this picture down here on the lower left-hand side on one of the pages. There's a Ryerson Morris log end. If you go into Terry's house, his mantle is a log. And at the end of it is this log end that has this. It was dug right out of the channel. He took us right out and showed us where it was taken out with other logs. And so we had an expert verify that this is the stamp, the year it was done. We know logs floated down that channel. We know. They were dug out there, and so history is kind of being made here. It's kind of interesting, because none of us were born anywhere near then. Our grandparents were, most of them were not born when it was being logged back there. So this channel was significant, and significant enough that they had the bright idea of closing one of them off to make the other side even deeper and even faster for getting the logs into Lake Muskegon, or Muskegon Lake rather. So a lot has been done. What I'm trying to do with each property owner is walk their particular property. I have 2 left to go. Most are mildly, if not wildly supportive. A couple aren't. I'll let you guess who they are. And so I just have to visit with everybody, and we're listening to everybody. We're not trying to take this project and ram it down the throat of this community or any other. We want to be sure that people understand what we're doing, and we expose the risks and the benefits to it. One of the things that I wanted to bring you up to date on that's really kind of hot off the press is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, as you know, was here last fall. They did their hydro study. It's a big deal. This is a $600,000 study to answer a simple question: what if we open it back up again? What happens? What happens in this spot, this spot, this spot? What happens if there's 10 inches of rain in Mecosta County or Osceola County? By the time it gets here, what happens here? And they're building that hydro model. So last Friday, I sent a message to the Army Corps asking Garrett, who's been here on the ground, and my question was, we're going to be at a quarterly update tomorrow night for Cedar Creek Township on the Maple River project. Can your team provide an update in the next 24 hours or so? The Army is really good with deadlines. So I say, I need 24 hours, let's go. He sends it back to me this morning. We've constructed the existing conditions HEC-RAS model, that's the hydro study, and it's currently being reviewed. Kristen, who's the lead on this, has been working on the hydrologic analysis. Should be ready to go by the end of the month, that's this month. So we should have the hydro data model, which allows us to play with it together as a shareholder group, as a stakeholder group, and ask that same set of questions I was. What happens if we get a 10-inch rain? What happens if they let out 6 inches of water at the Croton Dam? What happens here? And we are scheduling the first round of the water quality. This is important. We're scheduling the first round of water quality sampling for this month, meaning now, and we'll complete a second round in the fall along with sediment sampling. So they want to go through a whole summer sample. Then they're going to walk the channel again with their scientists and take core samples. And in my experience now, having walked down that channel, you get a lot of different things depending on where you are. There's clay stratum, there's sand stratum, there's gravel bottom. And you can go in there and you will be swallowed alive. Some of the muck there is real. At Hackenberg's property, I almost had that happen. I was glad that there were ropes around and all that. We had some fun. The existing conditions will be available in August with the alternatives modeled after we complete settlement sampling. All this to say this, and I'll leave this with you, Linda. So this is my correspondence from Garrett, is that we're going to have those kinds of meetings in the fall and winter of this year, deciding together as community and as scientists, what do we want to do? Do we want to open it up? And if so, how much? And do we want a control gate structure at the beginning in case something goes haywire? Do we want to do those things? We don't have the answers to those yet, but we're really going to have a lot of scientific data behind us so we can ask intelligent questions and arrive collectively as a group on what we want to do. There are some homeowners that are excited about opening it back up and bought property for that purpose. So not everyone is in a defensive posture, others might be, but one of the things I wanted to put out to everyone too is real estate people are not stupid. When they think that there's a new bunch of river being produced, they are watching that like a hawk. And if this project goes forward, the chances for property values here are likely to escalate
rapidly. And it's a new river frontage. If you all of a sudden you own 20 acres of farmland, next thing you know, you've got 3 miles of riverfront on one side and 3 miles on the other. You have 6 miles of waterfront property that you did not own before. And so there's going to be some changes that go along in the perceived value from the outside world and from the folks that live here and see those kind of changes happening. A little on the funding side, you're probably all aware that we did get a $1.963 million grant for road crossings. And our strategy for that was kind of simple. What are the most expensive things that could keep this project from happening? The real answer, correct, bridges. It's bridges. Bridges are really expensive. And we're not gonna put in stupid culverts, the likes of which we're trying to take out in the process. We're gonna put real bridges in that are beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, and highly functional, that allow organism passage to happen, and kayakers and canoeists to go underneath. And so we have the money for the 2 most expensive crossings that we would have. And what tends to happen, and it's actually my job to make it happen, is find the rest. So once you have the most expensive things sort of paid for, it's easier to find funding to complete a project than it is to start it. And that's what I do for a living, is I try to find opportunities to make big projects happen. And this is the biggest project that we've ever been a part of as an organization. So I'm pretty well focused as a person to find the rest of the money. But the good news for this community is it's $2 million of improvements to the community that you didn't have to pay for. This is not your tax dollars. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, $600,000 coming into this community in value that was not coming out of the taxpayer revenues. And you can protect your $1.1 million in the bank as a result of these kinds of things, and probably look forward to some appreciation in property values over time. I know that's a lot to cover. I'm trying to think if I left anything out. We did have a really, really good conversation, and Marty and I were kind of kicking ourselves afterwards. We were contacted by a bunch of residents that live a full half-mile south of the project, basically saying, you're not paying attention to us. What happens if you do this? What happens? We live down here in the Braids. What's going to happen, to our floodplain and so on? We met with them for an hour and a half back in June, and now they're part of our stakeholder group. We should have seen that coming, because they're thinking, that's great for everybody upriver. Whatever you do there, great, nice. Glad Kathy Whipple's getting everything she ever dreamed of for her bank restoration, which is starting next month. But what about us? And so we're paying attention to them. We're inviting them in for when the hydro study model is done, so that they know what we're up to. Their biggest concern is what we're doing about the battery plant going up around Big Rapids. It's kind of surprising. So, but those are the things that we're doing in your community that I feel really compelled to come and let you guys know what we're doing, so you don't hear about it secondhand. This is how I spend my life. This is how I spend my time, and the same with Marty. So we're here to answer questions if you have any.
Will you talk about Kathy Whipple's property?
Oh yeah. So
Update
Kathy
on-
Whipple's property, everybody kind of know where her property is. It's okay. It's off. It's right on. I just came down Maple Island Road. Before you get to the big bridge over the Muskegon, you back up a little ways, and her property is in there. It's on Cedar Creek. Cedar Creek enters the Muskegon right on her property. And then her property, she has about 60 acres back there, Linda, I think. It's farmland, and her biggest problem is bank erosion. She has an unstable bank, it's highly sandy. And so when we have a big water, like we did this spring, she lost a quarter of an acre of ground, right? It's gone, it's into the river. And the money that we were able to find with her, her family stepped up. We needed 10% from them to be able to find it. We found 90% match. And we're putting about $130,000 in improvements to stabilize that bank, put trees in place, stake them in, put in the proper root structure plants to allow that place to stabilize in advance of this project. So whether Maple River goes on or not, we're gonna fix Kathy Whipple's property and her husband. So that's one we're excited about. It's gonna happen this summer. So I think it's due to start in August, and it'll be done by first part of October. So that's an example of some of these other peripheral projects that we find when we know a big project is working. We look for other things that can supplement and kind of put in place more improvements. It's hard. Muskegon's kind of vicious, right? If there's a lot of rain, there's not a lot you can do to control things. So we're trying to be mindful of that and doing improvements where we can.
I want to remind everyone that this board voted to approve this project. So that's instrumental. We are
Thanks.
part of this. We support this. And this is all money that's coming into Cedar Creek as we look forward to where this is headed. These are all great things that are happening here.
Thank you for
This
that.
is so important.
And we do that with Bridgeton Township too, because the project nicely straddles two townships. Without township support, we have nothing. We can't go to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and say, hey, our nonprofit really has a great idea, come and help us. Without local government or support, this thing stops. So it's good, please.
I mean, it looks like a great historical project.
Yes.
But other than creating some new waterfront property,
Mhm.
what real value is it providing?
That's a great
the
thing.
rest of
So,
our citizens?
yeah, I wish Marty was here to give you a better answer. I'll paraphrase what I know to be true. Bank stabilization is a big thing. When you take an anabranch like that and you close one half off, it raises the other side and raises havoc with the other side, which is why Kathy Whipple's property is destroying itself every time we get rain. So by restoring that channel, we hope to drop the overall level down there. And you can imagine the folks downstream are saying, well, we still want a navigable river, right? So their big concern was what happens, and the real answer is there's no net loss of water by the time it hits their neighborhood. And there's that component. There's protecting farmlands, which is a big deal. The Bain family is a big proponent of this project because they've kind of taken it in the shorts for decades by losing property and losing crops. So crop damage. So there's loss of product, loss of property. The other component is that used to be a highly productive environmental area because along the Old Maple River Channel there are 4 or 5 really cold water inputs to the Muskegon that don't get there now because they're trapped back in the drainage ditch that is now the Maple River. When it's restored, we're hoping that also restores fish habitat along with it, and the cold water that enters it will also benefit the Muskegon downstream. That's I'm a real layman when it comes to the science of it, but those are the primary benefits of that. And then there's also the recreational component for those folks that run liveries and tubers and so on, and kayaks. I mean, can you imagine being a kayaker and being able to go on 6 miles of brand new river that hasn't been seen the light of day in 150 years? It's just interesting, and so I think there's an economic benefit to be seen there outside of the property value component, Dave.
So there was some talk earlier about, for flood relief, you take that branch and take it to another watershed rather than feeding it back into the same river. Is that still?
No idea about that. I don't know how we would do that. I know we're not
That's
looking.
what I asked.
Yeah,
Because
I'm not
if you
sure
feed
how
it
we
back
would
in
do
the
it or
same
where it
river,
would
it's still
go.
gonna have the same flow
Yeah,
problem.
I know again in layman terms too, one of the things you try to do with a watershed, so we call it Muskegon River watershed, is you don't try to divert water or bring new water in. You just don't do that because that's how God created it. You just want to leave it
Right.
alone. Yeah, I hope that answers your question
Yeah, very good.
as close as I can.
Scott, this has an economic impact, a social impact,
Yes.
and what was the other? There was one more.
Well, the other one is cultural impact too. The cultural impact side, which is not common to probably too many people in this room, but this was a serious place for Native American peoples. It was called Maple Island for a reason. The sugar maples were here and provided those folks a way to live through the Michigan winters. That's how they lived here. That's why they lived here. That's why they stopped and started living here. For wild rice, for sugar maples, and for other things. This was a huge place, and even in that old map there, they called it an Indian sugar camp. Doesn't get a lot more obvious than that. And so part of what we're trying to do too on the cultural side is seeing what we can do to make things a little better in that area, and that's part of why we started the 1,000 Trees plant, the project that we started a few months ago. And we're about 18% through that project. We developed funding for 180 sugar maple trees to be planted back in this area. So we're really serious about kind of putting things back. If we put the river back, we want to put some of the trees back too. One of the really creative and fun parts of this will be, as funding starts making its way through, we know we can actually do the project, which I really think we're going to get there, is how do we plant along that river? Most rivers in Michigan were completely shaded by trees, all along the whole thing. We just cut them all down and sent them down to the sawmills in Muskegon Lake and sent them off to Chicago. And by reforesting that channel, the interesting thing in walking it, especially with Drake, who lives down in that area too, it's reforesting itself. Even without the water there, there's a lot of mature trees that are already going over the old channel. So being able to restore it that way is a cultural improvement too. There will be opportunities for us to engage with the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians, who are very interested in this project because their wild rice stands or a sacred component of their culture. We think that's pretty cool and kind of important to them. They've been a good sponsor of some of the things that we're doing, and we're gonna do what we can to see what we're using their scientists too to say, hey, when we do this, as we activate this channel, how can we do the best we can to propagate more of your wild rice stands and honor your culture in the process? So that's one of the things. Thank you for bringing that up.
No, thank you. Does anyone else have?
I noticed the sign-up sheet on the back. I didn't understand what that was for.
I didn't put it there, so I don't know.
It's for, the,
Oh, there's one from us back there?
yes.
Oops.
Is it for
Yeah.
Discover
I
Maple
should
River?
know that.
Yeah.
Oh, let me give you a better answer, because if you sign up, we'll send you stuff. We'll put you on our mailing list and keep you appraised of any meetings that we're doing, and I would encourage you to do that.
It's yours.
I saw the sign-up sheet and I saw it coming in. It didn't have our name on it, so I'm like, whatever. I didn't. Sorry.
It's September 12th.
The Discover
Yeah,
Maple River.
yeah. Discover Maple River event. So here, in the save the date, Dan, thank you for coaching me through my own part of the meeting. Linda. It's been a long week and it's only Tuesday. Is that we do have our Discover Maple River event, which is September 12th. It's actually 2 days, but we only put the 12th on because that's the part that applies to grown-ups. The day before, we're taking 140 8th graders out and talking to them about taking them out to the old channel. We're taking them down to the state game area and taking them through field exercises. We give them binoculars and they get to take them home when they're done with them. We feed them lunch and we have them identify species and get wet and dirty, which a lot of them have never been. And we make them put their phones away. We treat them really badly that day. And they come out thanking us for it. But that's that day, and this day is the evening where we'd ask that you and your neighbors would come out and join us, and we'll have people from the Corps of Engineers to talk to you and to answer more questions, because by then we should have our hydro models and we'll be able to say, look, good news, or hey, we've got some real concerns, and at least we're going to talk openly with you guys about what we find by then. So, and they'll be at the 7 Mile Inn. We're starting to love us a lot, because whenever we're here, we bring the Corps of Engineers there, and they're always happy with us when we come to town.
That event for 8th graders, Heather's daughter went
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
She had fun, right?
She did.
Cool.
She did. She had a blast.
We had kids, they all sent me a note, or our organization note. Usually it was to me. I'm not sure who organized that. It was probably Sarah. But they're hilarious. It's like, it was the best food I ever had. I was waiting for them to say things like, it was really cool learning to be a scientist and stuff. And some of them said that, but no, it's like, the food was awesome. So, that's an 8th grader, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of them had dirty tennis shoes that day. They showed up with brand new white tennis shoes and they're going through the muck. It's like, kids.
Make me wash.
Does anyone else have any
Anyone else have a
questions?
question for me or comment?
I'm wondering, will this affect the water level at the causeway?
Where is your causeway?
Oh.
You mean in Muskegon?
Yes.
Way
No,
downstream.
because we're not either adding or subtracting water to the river. It's going to be identical to what it otherwise would. It will neither help. What we're hoping will happen, and this is for the scientists to explain better than me, is the more you spread out the water flow through that area, the more it acts as a sponge.
Oh.
And so it controls flooding in that way. So to the extent the causeway experiences flooding, it should diminish that a little bit.
Okay.
But we don't know that until we start studying it a little bit more.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
well,
Anyone else have questions for Scott?
thank you all very much for your time and your attention. If you ever need to get in touch with me, I have cards. I'll leave a few back there. My cell phone's on it. Just call me. So,
I'm gonna give you my solar energy packet.
gotcha. For certain.
And then I will, give you a call. Thank
Okay,
you.
that's the email from the Corps. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
I'll leave a couple cards back here for anybody that.
We'll see you September 12th.
Awesome. Love to
I
have
was
you all
there
there.
last year.
Please
And
come.
that is a fun event.
That's a good event.
Yes, it is. So I would recommend it to anyone who's interested in knowing more about this Maple River event. And Scott will, Scott did leave his card, so if you have any questions, he will take your call. He will answer your questions at any time.
I'll come to your house.
He will.
It's summertime.
Whether you want me there or not. In the summertime, yes. And we're dead in winter, maybe not. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, public comments. Does anyone have any comments on the agenda? Okay, moving right along. Old business. This is the ordinance.
So this is the zoning ordinance to amend miscellaneous chapters of the zoning ordinance. I would like to make a motion that we amend the ordinance with the exception of sections 1 and 2 regarding home occupations, and we table that portion of the ordinance so that we can do further research and discussion.
I support.
Okay. Anyone have any concerns?
What'd you say?
She said, do you have any concerns?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not used to not hearing you.
All in favor of tabling? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Then we need to vote on the remainder of the motion
Okay,
of the ordinance.
so do you want a roll call vote on the remaining items in the ordinance?
Please.
Okay.
Are we doing that?
So now we're gonna do a roll call vote regarding the other items in the ordinance.
Oh, the rest of the stuff we're
Right,
gonna
the
want to
rest,
table?
yes.
All right. All right. Bob,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Dave, yes. Brian?
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Thank you. Now the other one falls under old business.
All right, the
Stratus.
old business on the Stratus contract. I was prepared to talk about this last month. We have it agreed upon with Stratus. We've went past our attorney. They are current now in their payments, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve this contract for
I
signature.
make a motion.
Is this the same contract that we looked at before
Yep.
and everything?
Yeah, we
Okay.
changed.
We were just waiting for the payment to
Right.
get caught up.
Right.
Okay,
Under the advice of our attorney. They
Right.
needed to be
current, yeah,
Right.
okay.
I support.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, passed unanimous.
All right, motion
Thank you.
carries. Thank you. Under new business, and this should be easy, and Martha, if you, I would like, this is just a motion seeking board approval to combine the township properties. Right now, we have
2 parcels.
2 parcels that the parcel across the street and this parcel for our commercial properties. Correct me if I have this right. They're separate, aren't they? These are commercial. These are commercial.
This one and the one across the street.
These are commercial. And then we have, the newly purchased, or recently purchased in 2019, I believe, the Lomax property and the old park property. So we need to combine those separately.
And then 1 acre out here on the corner. Remember?
Yes, it's a half acre,
Half
right?
acre,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So what I need to do is, that one needs to be combined with these 2, and those 2 need to be separately combined.
This building and most of the park is on one parcel though.
This is 22.
This building, no, it's separate.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so. Martha, this,
That one can't, across the street cannot be combined.
it can't be combined.
No, because it's in a different section. This
Okay.
is all in one section here.
Okay. This one needs to be, this little
Half acre needs to be.
little orphan here needs to be combined with this.
Yeah, and the rest of the park.
Okay, that one is not, it's not combined with this building. But that needs to be combined with the other park property. So,
You know, they planted one.
Right.
One big.
one big park property. Okay, so,
Is that okay for the park project, Lorraine? Like, that's fine?
To combine them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
so we're just entertaining a motion to combine the properties with their appropriate body.
Okay.
I'll make that motion. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
discussion.
Discussion?
Yes, sorry.
So what's the advantage of combining them?
Right now, they're willy-nilly all over. This is there's a 1/2 acre orphan piece of property.
They're out here in the parking lot? or-
Yeah, it's in the parking lot. And we have literally five pieces, 5 deeds. And they need to be combined with their appropriate, the park needs, the way we discovered this is when we're considering applying for the Spark grant. It became a literal nightmare trying to track down the deeds. And, and it was a nightmare. You should see what Martha had to do to find the deeds.
And they're all zoned the same?
No, they're not zoned the same.
Do they have to be combined?
No, they need to be zoned appropriately. This is zoned will be zoned with that 1/4 or 1/2 acre with this building. And then the park will be zoned appropriately with the park. They're 2 park parcels.
This will help you. These parcels all the way from here, all the way down to here. There was a little 1/2 acre piece that was never put on the roll, nobody could find it. So when I had Steve Beck help me, it was clear back in the early 1900s that it was given to the township.
Okay.
Cedar Creek's growing.
By 1/2 acre.
We'll take it.
God's little
Today.
1/2 acre, right?
Done with tomorrow,
I really want to thank Martha for the work she put into doing that. If anybody can hear me.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you.
So,
All right, all in favor?
all in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. That's all on the agenda. Board comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. I've been a little down on my luck with my health lately. I got a sciatic nerve that's acting up, but this time of the year, I wanted to get out and start talking to folks on these roads where we can maybe expand some natural gas in the future. Haven't been able to do that. Dave was gonna help me, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. I got an MRI coming up Thursday. Hopefully we can get a remedy for this, because I've been going into 3 months with this, and it's been hard. But I just want the folks to know that we have not forgot about the natural gas, and we will continue to do it as soon as I get well. That's all I have. And thank you for coming, everybody.
Summer tax bills went out, so. Hey.
Boy, we had a good meeting
You're saying that out
going.
loud?
PSA, if you have any questions or concerns, call Bob.
Yeah, thanks.
He may not be able to walk, but he can talk.
Linda
I
can't
guess.
talk, Bob can't walk.
Hey, that almost matches.
Yeah.
Talk, walk.
Yeah.
What's
Where's
next?
I would just like to say our book club, our senior millage book club, and our coffee, cookies, and conversation through senior millage, and our book club is through senior millage and Mantle. It is absolutely wonderful. So if you think about it and want to join, you should do it. We have a great time.
I can't hear you.
Tomorrow at 3 o'clock is the book club. You should consider coming.
Nice.
Sorry.
Rita, that was. Hey,
I have nothing to add.
Brian.
Just thank you for everybody coming out. I always say that, and I mean it. It takes all of us to keep this community rolling. We got a lot of good things happening. Thank the board for all their hard work they do and putting a lot of hours. You know, we got pavilion going up, pole barn for the truck. That's just tip of the iceberg, and it's a great group that I'm working with. I'm very proud to be up here and very proud to be part of our community, and thank you for coming.
I have one question. On your book club tomorrow, that's at 3 o'clock. Do you have donuts?
That's a must, isn't it?
Yeah. Can't have a
I
meal
would
without
think-
cookies.
There is a dessert. I'm not sure it's donuts. So.
You asked because you wanted to bring them?
Yeah, I know. They know me. I have donuts.
We truly are the self-proclaimed best book club ever.
Okay.
Mr. Arts, are you part of that club?
You bet.
You had no choice.
Now, for public comments. Public comments. Officer, would you like to say anything tonight?
I'm keeping busy.
Did you get your key?
Yep, got the key.
Okay,
All good.
good.
Might as well say something I can hear. I'd just like to thank y'all for obviously getting an awful lot of work done. I looked through some of the minutes. I haven't been here for probably 6 months or so. And nice to see about the pole barn and the pavilion and all that stuff. It was very nice to hear from Scott, who has always been upfront with us and very, very honest. He hasn't walked the river with me yet, and he said he had 2 left, so I feel I better get ready. I'm not looking forward to that. I got quite a bit. It's nice to meet this young man who's keeping our community safe too. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate seeing you at this forum because this is a great forum to be at. So, but thank you all. Hope you get better. I'll walk in your back if you'd like. It'll help. But thank y'all for doing what you're doing. I actually had some questions, but they were all answered with the stuff I heard. So thank you very much. Appreciate you.